All right, so good to get to 4-0. I thought first off, the fans were great, to come out there for kickoff and the place be, full. And every angle that you looked at, it looked like it was completely full. So that was great. And I know the players noticed that and recruits noticed that. So, I've been critical when it hasn't. So I want to make sure I point out, just like our players, when it was awesome. And so that was really neat to see. And I thought our players fed off it and started really, really well, which we have in all the games. Probably the story of why it wasn't, a near perfect game, for us, and defensive penalties, and then just some screw ups on offense, especially in the red zone. So I thought to sum it up, I would say, like I just told our players, they have a chance to be really good because coached for a while, and it's hard to go on runs like they do, that they just shut people down at portions of the game when they're on and they don't make penalties. Like on defense, we just shut people down. On offense, we score within a minute or two. And, it feels really electric, and then we screw ourselves up by self-inflicted decisions and plays. So that's a good thing. I've been on teams the other way where you can play really disciplined and have no penalties and still struggle to win because you don't have elite players. So we got a good thing. Now we just got to clean up these other parts of it, like I told them. And if you want to be really special, at least you can, because there are only so many teams out there in the country that can be really special, regardless of cleaning up penalties and turnovers, and they're one of them.
Questions from media?
Another big game from Poupon tonight. What can you say about the impact he had tonight with TJ Daughtery's absence and what he's meant to the defense through 4 games?
Yeah, I thought the defense did really well, led by him. As you mentioned, TJ out, Jared Ivey out. TJ probably could have played. We just decided against it, even though he wanted to. And Poupon stepped up like he has done. That's what he had done against us at Arkansas, and that's why we were excited about getting him. Not that he's not a great practice player. I'd say he's a good practice player, but he plays great on game days and shows up. And so outside of his late hit penalties that he seems to get, other than that, he does a really good job.
You talked about the record crowd, and for it to come against Georgia Southern, what do you attribute having a record crowd to? Is it just winning? Is it being 5 in the country, or is there more to it than that in your eyes?
I think it's when first off, you have really good fans that show up, but you have an exciting style of play. And so especially in a non-conference game, if you there's a bunch of different ways to win, but if you're kind of one of those slower offenses and the games aren't quite as exciting. So I think that we're exciting to watch play. That's why I've kind of challenged fans to stay longer, which our students, not so today, but the rest of our fans did a good job staying after the half. And I think that's because it's a good style of play. It's fun to watch. Like if you produce concerts, and you have really good country concerts and you got good lights going on and the singers perform well, the bands perform well, people come back. And so, again, our main objective is to win, to get to 1-0, but we've built this thing with some style in it, hoping that it was entertaining, and this is what it would look like for your fans and also for recruits watching and say, man, I want to go play there.
Wayne, you were critical earlier in the season of the secondary and the way they had been playing. Just thoughts on how that group played today. You guys only gave up, I think, 157 passing yards.
Yeah. I thought for the most part they did a good job with the early holding, which we've had some issues on third downs in the slot. But I thought they did a good job. And, again, I'll tell you what no other coach tells you. I don't see half of it. So these iPads, as an offensive coach, you saw a lot more defensive plays than I did today. So it just is what it is, and that's why it's important to have a really good defensive coordinator that you trust. And because you got this, and you got this all communication with the quarterback and being able to show them these iPads and everything, that you miss some of it. So it seemed like they did well.
penalties seem to be a problem again tonight. What do you think you could do to kind of address the team and get them, playing cleaner football? As you said last week, that was kind of a key to winning in the future.
We talk extensively about it. I've already addressed it in there. Lack of discipline penalties. I think sometimes when you create a team that's a really physical team that's really going to try to, play really physical at a high level with you, snap to snap, it's going to get violent, and you're not going to be the least penalized team, especially defensively. So I understand that. I understand what we've created. They got their videos to start, stand by to get some. It's kind of hard at that point not to hit the quarterback, So we just got to be smarter at it. But we're not going to have the least defensive penalties, not with these players. I understand that. But we got to not have the penalties we can avoid with decision making.
Are you concerned that some of these self-inflicted wounds could kind of haunt you or come back to bite you when you get into conference play?
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. When the margin of player difference is going to start changing here already next week. They got great players on offense. They got really great players on defense next week. So you're going to have to clean that up.
Take questions up top.
You've gotten off to this hot start, but it seems like outsiders love to point to the strength of schedule of the non-conference. Do you still feel like there's something to prove in the SEC?
We got plenty of time to do that. I mean, there's 8 games left. The only one that matters is this next one, and we got great teams on the schedule. Even some that maybe media didn't think were good early on, before the season. Now will be better. There's a lot of great players around the SEC and coaches and really hard places to play, which we're going to have a couple of those. So we're going to have plenty of challenges to prove if we're good or not.
Coach, JJ went down injured in that very first fumble recovery and then came back in and scored a touchdown later and made a couple other big plays. What happened there with that injury, and how impressed were you with his ability to kind of come back in the game and put on that performance?
Yeah, he did a great job. I mean, I thought he broke his collarbone by the way he was holding it, and they went and x-rayed him, and it wasn't. So he came back in, and then we held him a little bit later. Really wasn't scheduled for him to score the touchdown that he did there, but then, which was cool of our fans. Our fans, they saw him go in. He was actually going in at tight end, not running back. And, they started standing up and cheering, in the stadium. I think Stadium Club. Is that what it's called? Right here. I should know that. Stadium Club? Field Club, sorry. I've had a lot of jobs, sorry. Field Club, okay? The Field Club was standing up, chanting for JJ, so then I felt bad that he was just going in at tight end to block, so then the next play we put him at running back. Now, Harlem, our running back, was mad, and I was like, hey, you gotta give the people what they want, man. They ain't chanting Harlem, so hometown hero. Again, man, you're gonna produce the bands that play at the concert, put the bands that people want to see. So JJ got the ball again.
And also, Coach, just quickly, your dog, Juice, back off injury reserve. How great was it to have him out there fully healthy?
Yeah. He seemed to do good, stayed on sides. I guess we don't do the kickoff thing with him. I don't watch him, probably looking at an iPad already. But so I think he's adjusting back to being full strength.
Any more questions now, Coach?
What do you think the biggest thing you learned about your team through these first 4 non-conference games, last 4?
I think they have a chance to be really elite, and they have a chance to be really special. Now, there's a lot of variables in that. I said at first they were a really good roster. Now they've started to show they're a really good team at times in spurts. But you look at the size of the linemen, the way the backs run. Obviously Jackson's play. Then you look at these receivers. We know the defensive front, how special that is. Again, they're going to have to be consistent. They're going to have to play way harder teams and in way harder places to play and overcome adversity. But, it's like I've said before, if you go hunting, which I don't do much of, but let's go fishing. Keith does hunting. Let's go fishing, man. You go out on a big, nice fishing yacht and you got really nice fishing tackle, and you go out there and then you got really live bait, so you you feel good about going out. Or you can have like little rods and frozen shrimp. That's how sometimes as a coach you feel like going out there to play. So at least we know we have the right bait and the right rods and the right boat. So let's get them on the right fish and play together, and we could be special. All right, thanks.